Alright, the last topic of this unit is sharding. And sharding is a technique for splitting up a large collection amongst multiple servers. So far, we've been talking about having a single Mongo server, which I'll represent as this disk. But there comes a time when you can't get the performance you want from a single server. And so what you can do is you can shard. And when you shard, you deploy multiple MongoD servers, and in the front you have a Mongo S, which is a router, and your application talks to Mongo S, which then talks to the various servers, the MongoDs. Now, one wrinkle, which I won't go into here, is that rather than being a single server, this is sometimes and often and recommended to be a set of servers. So imagine 3 of these guys behind here in what's called a replica set. And a replica set keeps the data in sync across several different instances so that if one of them goes down, you won't lose your data. But logically, you can look at this replica set as one shard. And when you're doing this, and for the most part, it's transparent to the application. However, the way Mongo shards is that you choose a shard key. So for instance, in that student collection, you might decide that student ID is your shard key, or it could be a compound key. And the Mongo S server is a range-based system. So based on the student ID that you query, it'll send the request to the right Mongo instance. So what do you really need to know as a developer? Well, the first thing you need to know is that an insert must include the shard key, the entire shard key. So if it's a multi-parted shard key, you must include the entire shard key in order for the insert to complete. So you kind of have to be aware of what the shard key is on the collection itself. And the second thing you need to know is that for an update or a remove or a find, if Mongo S isn't given a shard key, then what it's going to have to do is broadcast the request to all the different shards that cover the collection. So you have some collection like the student's collection, and it's broken up into big parts that map to each of the different shards. Shard 0, shard 1. And then there's some chunking within here to allow Mongo to keep it balanced, but that doesn't really matter from your standpoint. The point is that if it doesn't know the shard key on the query, it has to broadcast it. Now, it may be the case that you're doing a query where that you don't know the shard key, and in which case it doesn't have to be broadcast, and that's fine. But if you know the shard key, you should specify it, because you will get better performance because you'll only be utilizing one of the servers, and you won't be keeping the other servers busy with this query as well. A couple other subtleties with updates. If you don't specify the entire shard key, you have to make it a multi-update so that it knows that it needs to broadcast it. And we're going to go over a lot of this in the application engineering part of the course. But I just wanted to explain the role that sharding has on performance, and also the subtlety of having to think about the shard key a bit. And choosing a shard key is a topic in and of itself, which we're not going to go over. Now, within each of these servers, all the same things, all these instances, the same techniques apply as we've been talking about this entire unit. So you can certainly use explain, you can look at the system profile, you can connect directly to the Mongo instances that are running on here if you'd like, for debugging purposes. So a lot of the same things apply. But at the highest level, your application will be talking to a Mongo S router, and that Mongo S will be talking to the MongoDs, usually on different physical servers, because that's probably the reason why you sharded in the first place, was to get higher performance. And just in case you're wondering, Mongo S is often co-located on the same machine as the application, and you can have multiple of these Mongo S services. And you may have noticed the Mongo S binary in the Mongo distribution, and that's what it is. It lets you shard a collection and split it across multiple servers and access it pretty easily, somewhat transparently, except you have to have some understanding of the shard key. All right, so that completes our unit on performance. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you next week.